Princess Diana's secret voice note to Prince William has finally been released, and it's more emotional than anyone expected. Her words, recorded just months before her death, weren't meant for the public. But now, they're out, and what she said left William shattered. This wasn't just goodbye, it was a warning. The day the recording surfaced, shockwaves in royal circles. On the morning of October 13th, the royal household was thrown into chaos. A leaked voice note, undeniably recorded by Princess Diana, surfaced online, sent anonymously to a royal whistleblower forum. It was titled simply, "For William." 1996. Within minutes, the file had spread. By noon, it was global. Experts rushed to confirm its authenticity. Voice pattern analysts and 2 former royal archivists verified it within hours. Diana's tone, her cadence, even the subtle pauses matched previous recordings. This wasn't fabricated. It was real. The voice note, just under 7 minutes long, was recorded in late 1996, months before her tragic death. It had been stored on an old microcassette, long believed lost, until a digital backup emerged. No one from the palace released it. It came from outside the royal walls, a break in the silence that had lasted over 25 years. The media frenzy exploded. Diana's last message, 7 minutes that broke William, the note they tried to bury. Every outlet led with it. Clips were played on loop. But inside Kensington Palace, the mood wasn't frenzied. It was devastated. Prince William, now 43, reportedly listened to the file alone, behind locked doors. According to a source, he cried. He didn't say a word for an hour, just sat in silence. Staff were instructed to shut down communications. No public comment, no movement, only quiet. Because Diana's voice wasn't just speaking to her son, it was piercing the walls of power. How the voice note was hidden inside royal archives. The note was never supposed to see daylight. Diana had recorded it privately using her microcassette recorder, a device she often used to collect her thoughts or draft letters. This one was different. The cassette had one word on it, William. No date, no title, just his name, written in Diana's handwriting. After her death in 1997, many of Diana's personal effects were quietly collected. Some were handed over to the family. Others, more sensitive ones, were stored separately by her personal secretary, who later became one of the few protectors of her most private messages. That's where the voice note stayed, for nearly 3 decades, locked in a personal safe, hidden in a file that was never listed in the official royal archives. For years, it was untouched, unknown even to William himself. What saved it? A quiet act of defiance. The aide, now deceased, left a note with the tape saying, "This must not be destroyed. When the time is right, it will speak louder than any tribute." The digital copy only came to light recently when the aide's family discovered the contents of the safe after his passing. A trusted confidant, connected to William through unofficial channels, leaked the file anonymously, believing the public deserved to hear Diana in her own words. And now those words are out. In them, Diana warns, "Protect yourself." There are people who smile and lie in the same breath. She speaks gently, but clearly. You can hear the fear, the love, the sorrow. She ends with a whisper, "I loved you loudly, William. Never let them make you smaller than you are." A message meant for one, now echoing through the halls of a monarchy. What Diana's voice actually says, fragments and revelations. When Diana's voice played, it was like time folded in on itself. The note begins softly, her breath a little shaky, as if she's not sure whether to cry or stay composed. Then, a pause, and the first words, "William, if you're hearing this, then someone knew it mattered." Her tone wavers between calm and sorrow, a mother trying to sound strong while battling heartbreak. She doesn't waste words. There's no small talk. From the very start, it's clear. This is a message of love, of regret, and of warning. She says, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for how things have been. You didn't choose this life, but it chose you. And that comes with weight no one will understand but you." She mentions Charles, but not by name. Instead, she speaks in measured phrases. Sometimes love fails, and sometimes people fail even harder when they're afraid of the truth. She never accuses, but it's unmistakable. She's referring to the breakdown of her marriage, the betrayal, and the machinery that silenced her. And then, chillingly, "There are things I couldn't say in courtrooms or interviews, but you deserve to know that I tried. I tried to protect you." She names no one outright, but the implications are there. Camilla, royal aides, advisors. She describes a system where the crown speaks louder than the heart, and where appearances are everything, even when it crushes the soul behind them. But it's not all shadow. Diana pours her love into the message too. "You were always kind. Even as a little boy, you had more wisdom in your eyes than I ever did. Don't lose that. Don't let them take it." She ends with what many are calling the most heartbreaking line. "If I'm not there to see you become the man I know you will be, remember, I never left. I am with you, always. And I am proud. So proud." That final word, proud, breaks slightly in her voice. And for William, it broke everything. William's reaction, breaking under the weight. The first time William heard it, he reportedly didn't speak for nearly an hour. Staff said he looked like he'd been hit by a wave that never stopped. According to a source, he locked the door, replayed the message 3 times, and only then sent a message to his brother. "Have you heard it?" His reaction wasn't just grief. It was shock, guilt, longing, and anger, all crashing at once. For years, he had lived with memories of his mother, frozen in photographs and documentaries. But this was her voice, unfiltered, speaking to him like no time had passed. Insiders say he made 3 immediate calls: to Harry, to his private secretary, and to his personal therapist. Because this wasn't just a private moment, it was something that could shake the entire royal structure. For hours, William remained off-grid. No public duties, no appearances. When he finally emerged, his eyes were reportedly red, his face pale. Aides say he told them quietly, "I need time, and I need space." This changes everything. But perhaps the biggest question William faced was this: should he release the full note to the public, or protect it as his mother intended? Right now, it remains a mystery. What's clear is this: the voice he missed most has returned, but it didn't bring peace. It brought truth, and truth, in the House of Windsor, is often the most dangerous thing of all. Harry's voice from the sidelines, his response. While the world watched Prince William crumble under the weight of his mother's voice, Prince Harry was facing a storm of his own, this time not in California tabloids, but deep within his heart. According to sources close to the Sussexes, Harry first learned about the leaked voice note not from William, but through media alerts. It wasn't until hours later that a brief, cryptic message came from his brother. "It's real." The words were enough. Harry's world stopped. A team member who was with him at his Montecito home said he immediately dropped his phone, sat on the edge of a chair, and whispered, "She recorded something? And they never told us?" When he finally listened to the clip, alone in a soundproof room, Harry reportedly wept. Not the quiet tears of a man surprised, but the deep, aching sobs of someone grieving all over again. For him, it wasn't just the sound of his mother. It was a moment stolen from him. He later told a close friend, "We were robbed of her in life. And now I feel like I've been robbed of her in death too." Harry's team has said little publicly. No official statement, no press release. But insiders confirm he is angry. Not at Diana, not even fully at William, but at the system. A system that, once again, decided when and how he was allowed to feel his mother's presence. Behind closed doors, tension simmered. Questions spiraled. Why hadn't William shared the existence of the note sooner? Did he even know? And who else had heard it first? It reopened old wounds between the brothers, the feeling that Harry was always a step behind, always on the outside of royal secrets. The voice note, though beautiful, reinforced a painful truth. He was not part of this revelation from the start. Still, sources close to him say Harry does not blame William directly. Instead, he's choosing restraint, but with visible sadness. He has reportedly asked to hear the entire recording in full, not just the leaked portion. And depending on what comes next, he may choose to speak out, or quietly preserve it as part of his own healing. What remains uncertain is whether this shared pain might finally bring the brothers closer, or drive them further apart. Because Diana's voice didn't just speak to one son, it echoed through both, each carrying her message in very different worlds. Palace in panic. Damage control unleashed. If the leak of the voice note hit William like a thunderclap, it hit the palace like a tidal wave. Within hours of its appearance online, emergency meetings were underway. Senior aides from Clarence House, Buckingham Palace, and Kensington scrambled to connect across secure lines. A leaked memo later confirmed the subject. Containment protocol. Voice file. JNW designation. Royal press teams were deployed immediately. The first public statement was short and sterile. "This is a deeply personal matter. We ask the public and media for sensitivity, but behind the scenes, it was full-blown chaos." Courtiers began scanning archives, trying to track whether other Diana recordings existed. Staff were ordered to classify all known digital and analog materials under lock and key. Internal emails warned of immediate legal consequences for any further leaks. Spin doctors worked overtime. Select royal reporters were quietly briefed that the voice note may have been taken out of context or never intended for public release. Some media outlets ran with it. Others pushed back, demanding transparency. The palace's main concern wasn't just damage to Charles, it was the precedent. If this voice note got out, what else could be hiding in the vaults? What other private truths could resurface and destroy the carefully managed legacy of the firm? Inside the court, two factions began to form. One, loyal to Charles, argued the recording was being used to shame the king and reopen wounds that should have been left in the past. The other, quieter but growing, supported William's right to hear and process his mother's voice, and even hinted that Diana's truth should never have been silenced in the first place. Multiple courtiers have reportedly resigned or stepped away in the days following the leak. citing unmanageable stress and moral conflict. Now the palace faces a dangerous dilemma: suppress the conversation and look complicit, or allow it and risk unearthing truths the monarchy was built to avoid. Either way, Diana's voice has pierced their walls, and no press release can make it disappear now. Charles and Camilla under scrutiny. The release of Diana's voice note didn't just reawaken public emotion. It thrust King Charles III and Queen Camilla back into the line of fire. Within hours, scrutiny intensified. Headlines didn't hold back. Was she warning William about Charles? Camilla mentioned in leaked tape? Though Diana never spoke names directly, the references were clear enough for the world to connect the dots. In the recording, she says, "Not everyone who smiles at you is safe. Some were close to me once and still chose the crown over truth." For many, this line hit too close to home. Inside Clarence House, the mood turned cold. Senior advisors reportedly went into containment mode, issuing controlled media responses, updating legal protocols, and preparing Camilla's communications team for a public backlash. Behind closed doors, insiders describe the mood as tense, rattled, and unusually silent. Charles, caught between public duty and private shame, was said to be visibly shaken. According to one aide, he spent most of the day after the leak in solitude, reviewing documents and speaking only with his innermost circle. His public response was limited to a brief comment about respecting privacy and cherishing Diana's memory, but insiders say the message was crafted to avoid any direct engagement with the tape's content. Camilla, meanwhile, faced renewed anger online. Social media exploded with comparisons, old footage, and fan-driven narratives that revived the 1990s scandals. Her PR team moved swiftly to downplay any connection, pushing back against claims that Diana was speaking about her. They released a quiet statement through a journalist ally: "Her Majesty has no comment on materials from decades past that are being interpreted through a modern lens." But the damage was done. While Diana's message was tender, it also hinted at betrayal, manipulation, and emotional abandonment, themes long attached to Charles and Camilla's past. The voice note, though not aggressive, reopened a narrative that had taken years to calm. In private, tensions reportedly rose between William and Charles. Sources claim Charles felt blindsided and worried the leak would harm the monarchy's image. William, however, refused to distance himself from the message, telling close advisors, "It's my mother's voice. I won't pretend it didn't matter." This rift, once healed by duty, now feels fresh again. As one former royal press secretary put it, "This isn't about scandal anymore. It's about memory. And memory is something Charles and Camilla cannot rewrite." Public explosion and legacy rewriting. What started as a private message became a national reckoning. The moment Diana's voice hit the internet, the story left the palace walls and landed straight into the hands of the public. And this time, the people had the final word. Social media lit up with reactions ranging from heartbreak to fury. Hashtags like #DianaSpeaks, #JusticeForDiana, and #TheVoiceTheyBuried began trending within hours. Thousands shared clips, reactions, and old interviews of Diana, comparing her warmth to the coldness they now sensed in past royal responses. In just 48 hours, public sympathy for William surged, and so did scrutiny of the royal family's inner workings. Polls showed a significant increase in support for greater royal transparency, with over 62% of respondents saying they believed more materials related to Diana should be released. Meanwhile, media outlets across the globe ran wall-to-wall coverage. Television specials revisited Diana's interviews, her final days, and now, her unheard voice. Legacy newspapers began publishing long-form editorials with headlines like, "A voice that won't be silenced," "Diana's last message," "The tape that changed the monarchy." But perhaps the most powerful response came from the public itself. Vigils appeared outside Kensington Palace. People lit candles, left letters, and placed signs that read, "We hear you now, Diana." Younger generations, many born after Diana's death, connected with her for the first time, not through documentaries or dramatizations, but through her own words. To them, she wasn't just a princess, she was a woman silenced, and now finally speaking. Even cultural institutions began to respond. Museums hinted at temporary exhibits featuring Diana's personal archives. Historians called for a formal release of royal records from the 1990s. Pressure mounted on Buckingham Palace to allow public access to previously sealed documents. This wasn't just a story about a mother and son anymore. It became about truth versus tradition, memory versus control, and emotion versus image. For the monarchy, it marked a shift from being seen as infallible to being undeniably human, flawed, and accountable. For William, it was a storm of pain and love. For the public, it was a moment to reclaim a voice they had long been told to forget. And for Diana, it was the legacy she never got to finish. Until now. Who had motive to bury the note? Hidden players. As the truth of Diana's voice flooded headlines, one chilling question rose fast. Who kept this message buried for nearly 3 decades, and why? Behind every revelation lies resistance, and the voice note didn't just survive time. It survived people actively trying to erase it. Sources close to the royal household confirmed that not all aides were in the dark. At least 2 senior figures from the late 1990s were aware of a recording made by Diana. Both reportedly advised that it be privately archived with no intent to circulate. In other words, lock it away and never speak of it again. These weren't minor staffers, they were key players with direct access to sensitive materials and a vested interest in maintaining palace order. For them, Diana's note wasn't just emotional, it was explosive. Her voice carried accusations, implied betrayal, and worst of all, authenticity. No spin, no filter, just truth. But it wasn't only palace aides. There are growing whispers that political figures at the time may have also had incentive to ensure Diana's voice never saw daylight. During the years following her separation and then tragic death, certain UK officials worked closely with royal offices to manage optics. Diana's raw truth threatened every narrative they built. Then there's the question of media moguls. In the late 90s and early 2000s, several influential outlets were involved in delicate negotiations with the palace for access, exclusives, and royal cooperation. A voice note like this, if discovered, could destroy that relationship. Was it easier for those in the press to look the other way? And perhaps the most disturbing layer, internal royal factions. Over the years, control of Diana's legacy has shifted. Some family members may have feared what else the voice note hinted at. Relationships strained, truths half-told, reputations on the line. For them, suppressing the recording wasn't about malice. It was survival. Because if Diana's voice could be heard in full, it might demand answers from those who never wanted to give them. Now that the note is out, eyes are turning to those who kept it hidden. Their motives, whether loyalty, fear, or power are now under scrutiny. And if this one tape existed in silence for 27 years, how many more are still buried? Aftershocks, healing, reform, and Diana's echo. The dust hasn't settled, and it won't. Diana's voice didn't just reopen history, it redefined what comes next. For Prince William, insiders say the moment has become deeply personal but also transformational. He's gone quiet, reportedly taking time with his family and reviewing archives Diana left behind. Those closest to him say he's in reflection, not just about her words, but about what he's meant to do with them. One aide described him as a man standing at a crossroads, torn between protecting the institution he's set to inherit and honoring the mother who died trying to escape it. Some expect William to push for reform inside the palace, a slow but visible shift toward transparency, modern values, and open access to Diana's full legacy. Whether he does it quietly or boldly remains to be seen. For the House of Windsor, the voice note is a wound, but also a warning. Continued silence now feels like complicity. Whispers inside court suggest discussions are underway about how to address Diana's unofficial record, including potential releases of sealed archives, moderated disclosures, or even formal investigations into what else was buried. Whether those promises turn into actions will define how the monarchy survives a new generation of accountability. Public pressure is mounting. Advocates are calling for historical audits of royal records, new protections against institutional censorship, and even the release of Diana's full archive of letters and recordings. The longer the palace waits, the louder the demand grows. And then there's Harry. Although he remains mostly quiet, sources say he may pursue legal access to any materials relating to his mother that were withheld from him. The possibility of further revelations, whether from Harry's camp, former aides, or other family, now looms large. Diana's echo is no longer gentle. It is a rallying cry. The note has changed how the public sees the past and what they expect of the future. Because this isn't just about one message. It's about all the truths that never had a voice until now. What began as a whispered recording in a quiet room now haunts palaces, halls, headlines, and hearts. And it's not done speaking. Diana's voice, once silenced by tragedy, now echoes louder than ever. Her private message to William has reopened old wounds and forced the world to listen again. What was hidden for decades has changed everything. Because now, the truth isn't whispered in secret, it's out, and it's breaking hearts everywhere.